Hi guys, it's Doom here. About this time every year, I usually do a Christmas video, and this year it's going to be something that's a little different and a little special because this year the channel has hit 1 million views. Yay! And I've been doing this a while now, and I've been doing it with a lot of help from a lot of people who will be watching this, and I want to say thank you to those people because it's been a fun old trip. And a few stumbling blocks on the way, learned a lot of laughs on the way. And you can see around me, I have some of the things that I've gotten through fighting games. There's a few of the passes and prizes from tournaments and stuff. Behind me there's other stuff that I've gotten from tournaments, so it's been a long old road. And I can think back and I can remember when I started and I was just recording on what everyone calls the Doom Cam. And it's been a slow but sure gradual slide in quality up to where we are today. And that's been a frustrating trip, but a fun trip too. And I'm glad so many of you are still with me. And I hope that we'll be together for a lot more. I asked people on various different forums to provide me with some questions, just something to create a video with, because frankly I'm bankrupt of ideas at the moment. And I got quite a few, and some of them are big enough to make videos on their own. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to handle them one by one. I'm going to talk, I'm not going to edit or cut or do anything until I get them home. And when I do, I'll decide what's the best format to put them out in. And you never know, I might get a few weeks worth of content out of it, like the lazy so-and-so that I really am. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy everything that I create here. If you have any questions about what I say, feel free to ask me. Please cross your fingers that I don't say too much, because that's going to be a lot of editing, isn't it? So first up, we have a question from Aurum. How much has views led to more views? Have you seen an exponential increase in views, or have you hit a general level and steadied out? And this is actually a really interesting question for anyone who's interested in starting their own YouTube channel. The established way that you make videos for YouTube is that you pick certain times of the day and you put out videos at those times, and only those times. Maybe a few more as extra treat, but never less. If you can only do 2 a week, then you put out 2 a week, say on Tuesday night, Thursday night. That's it. What you don't do is upload it regularly and in bursts. That's the established way, and that will maximize your view count. That means you will grow a user base and a fan base, and they'll keep on coming back to you, because you'll be like a regular TV show that they watch all the time. They'll come back to you. They'll be waiting for your videos. Unfortunately for me, it's a bit different, because I'm stuck uploading whenever I've got the content. And I've got this bizarre situation where on one hand, people in the community are pressuring me, put them up quicker, put them up quicker. People outside the community will actually leave my channel if I put them up quicker than 1 or 2 a day, because they don't want their subscription feeds flooded. So I have a weird situation. What do I do to optimize my view count? And this isn't just me, this is a known problem for everyone who has an esports style channel, anyone who uploads tournament footage. So I assume Spooky is dealing with the same problems as I do. So what do? I try and muddle through. What I do is I don't tell people that I'll be uploading on an established day, but I tag my videos really well, so if people are searching, they hopefully will come across the Irish community, they'll come across you guys. So that's my plan. And I upload basically whenever I've got a minute. I'm also back in college and working full-time this year. So at the moment, making videos, producing the videos, putting them online, that happens whenever I've got a minute free. So it's difficult. So what happens with me is bursts of views. I have a gradual overall increase. The bottom amount of views that I get at any given time has increased greatly, but the top hasn't really. I'll never get a day with 1 million views. I'll never get a day with even 100,000 views, but I'll never get a day where it's sinking very low either. So I'm gradually increasing the base amount of people that views, but it's a slow and steady increase. It's not massive. So I think that's the answer to that question. It's slow and steady. Orem also asks, as the setup has gotten more complicated, do you ever miss the days when you were setting up the Doomcam and able to leave it more to its own devices? Or is the better videos have more worth? Someone, I'll tell you what, Dan, I hope autocorrect hits you there. So, the answer to this is actually both. Might sound like a cop-out answer, but it's the truth. I tell you what, I really, really, really miss being able to set up a camera and just walk off. I miss being able to say, guy, is the red light on in that? Yeah, make sure it's looking at the guys playing. Yeah? We all good? Yeah? And it could record away. However, almost the second I got the Doomcam, I started looking at the Arcade Infinity videos and went, I want to be better than this. I still do. It doesn't matter how good I make the videos, I will find the video content that's better than mine, that's streamed, fighting games, and wish I was that guy. So in some cases, I've even coded my own macros in order to catch up with people rather than have to buy all the equipment that they have, you know. So it really, really is both. I love that people enjoy watching the tournaments. I also kind of love the fact that I can tell with newer members of the community, Dan, maybe not you because you've been around so long and you've seen it all and done it all, but for newer people, there is a certain amount of pride in being allowed to commentate on a video, on a match. And that's not unusual. That happens in every scene. That's cool. Do you know what I mean? And it makes me happy. And that's one of the things that, you know, it makes me feel like it's worthwhile. People love the commentary. They love the reaction camera stuff. So that's all good, and I really do love it. But sometimes I really wish I could just turn up to a tournament and just play. It's very rare for me to do that. I've maybe only done that 2 or 3 times since I started recording. And for people who aren't in that position, so people who aren't tournament organizers or the like, I don't think you realize just how little people who are working at the event get to just enjoy it. There's been many tournaments where I've literally not played a single game outside of my tournament matches, and that didn't happen in the Doomcam days. I just record what I wanted to record. That's it, you know. So again, it's both. It's both. Yeah. Orem's last question is, have you fallen on any sticks recently? No. No, I haven't. And in case you're wondering what this is about, Dan Orem and I and several others were over in Cannes for the Cannes Winter Clash, or whatever it was called in those days. And by the way, okay, I'm going to go on a little adjunct. I'm going to go on a little, we're going to go off for a little while, because this is something that really, I don't want to say it bugs me, but I wonder why it happens. You get a lot of tournaments in countries that aren't natively English speaking, and they insist on kind of naming their tournaments without contacting a native English speaker and not choosing a name that's optimal or makes entirely sense. The Cannes Winter Clash in February, well, February's the start of spring. Whether it's winter or not, winter is December, January in this part of the world, alright? February you might even start seeing a bit of nice weather. Also, your tournament's in Cannes. Call it the Fighting Festival. The Cannes Fighting Festival. Something like that. Play on where you are. Do you know why hype spotting is called hype spotting? It's not because Scottish people love drugs, it's because it makes sense to people outside of Scotland. That's why we call Celtic Throwdown as well. It's Irish. It's not for you guys. I know some of you go, oh my god, all this diddly die stuff. Yeah, but you know what? People outside of Ireland, it creates something that they can touch and hang on to and realise this is an Irish thing. It's important. So why, when you're making a tournament in Cannes, do you not play up the film festival thing? Anyway, that's completely off topic. The question was about me falling on sticks. I was in Cannes and I was waiting for a match. And I was leaned back on a chair, and I'm a big guy, but back then I was a lot bigger. I leaned back in a chair and I fell. The chair broke. Fell right through it. Smacked my head off the corner of an arcade stick and I went out for a second or two. I woke up to find Yagami and Skitan, who are well-known European players, looking down at me like I was insane, and my friend Chopper picking me up going, Doom, Doom, you need to get up, Doom. I was gone. I was zonked. And I was doing really well in that tournament. I'd gotten top 32, which at the time was my best placing in an international tournament. And I had the next match against a Ken. And I don't know if any of you have seen the fighting game fundamental video I did about Evo, but in that video I make a little joke about not being able to plug in your arcade stick. That's one of those jokes that came from reality. I think I was a little bit concussed, and I couldn't plug my arcade stick into the Xbox. It took me about 25 seconds. And when I looked up, the guy who was playing it, he was looking at me like, is this guy for real? Which is the inspiration of that joke. I got hammered, and it's not a matchup I'm bad at, and I really should have won that one. But I got hammered, and I was just gone. So that's how I introduced myself to some of the biggest players in Europe. And also interesting, to this very day, I'm not sure if you can see it, but I have a bump on my head just here. Just there, sorry about the ball patch, just there. I don't know if you can see it. So that's a little reminder, don't hit your head off an arcade stick. Next question is from Kiki. Kiki asks, are you hyped to resurrect the VSHG? Kiki. You need to sit down. I have something to tell you, and you're not going to like it. So if you're not sitting down, sit down. You down? Okay. Fortunately, the VSHG is already being resurrected by Quang Hai in the UK, who does, the Quang Hai custom mods. I'm sorry. It had to be done. I really wanted that steak back. I've been waiting a long time. It's getting a venom putting it. So that should be back with me soon, and I'll be using my VSHG, and then I've got to think of a use for my other 5 sticks. Yeah. Kirby asks, do you think that Street Fighter V will lead to a big upturn in views? It's a good question, Kirby. I'll tell you what, Street Fighter is not my bread and butter when it comes to views on YouTube. My bread and butter is Mortal Kombat, Smash, and Marvel. It's effectively everything but Street Fighter. And I've often stopped and thought, why is this? Okay? Because the level of play is comparable across them all. In a lot of cases, it's the same people who are playing these different games. Like, Nutrient plays Street Fighter, Marvel, and Mortal Kombat. Why does his Mortal Kombat and Marvel videos get me thousands of views? Why does a Street Fighter only get me hundreds? And I think the answer is volume, because Street Fighter was probably the first fighting game to receive a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of streaming. And I think it's just that when someone searches on YouTube, there's a very small chance of them getting me, or getting anything related to the Irish scene. Think about how much volume there is out there. I think people find us at this point if they specifically search for Fighting Games Ireland, because I've made sure to tag every single video I've ever made with Irish Ireland. I try to also put in the location in the description. I try to do a lot of things to optimize the tagging so that people can find us. People who need to find us will find us. Has that been successful? Hope so. I know I certainly get a lot of people who come to me at tournaments and say, thanks, I wouldn't know this existed if not for your videos. So, Street Fighter V, will it lead to an increase that Street Fighter, that Ultra certainly didn't lead to? I think so. I think the start of an entire new line, there's going to be a lot of hunger for videos initially, and we're going to be there at the start, and we're going to be pumping out. With Mortal Kombat 9 and with Marvel vs. Capcom, both Ultimate and Vanilla, I did see a consistent spike in my view count from the very release of those games. And we're going to be tournament footage, we're going to be relatively high level. And the definition of high level, that's something else that I could talk for an entire video about, because what's high level to me, what's high level to our more advanced players is not high level to someone who's casual. To someone who's casual, some of the stuff that we can do is amazing. And we're looking at people like Daigo and go, that's high level. But to someone who is casual, it's actually quite difficult to see the difference between what we're able to do and what they're able to do. And that's life, really. That's everything, but in this case, fighting games. So what's going to happen is the casual crowd, I hope what's going to happen is the casual crowd will, a certain amount will see some of our videos, will like them, will subscribe, will keep watching. I think it will lead to an initial burst, and hopefully, if I get plenty of material up in the first couple of weeks, we'll catch on in YouTube's algorithms and we'll see some repeated views for our stuff. That's what I really would like to see. So I'm hopeful that it will create an increase, but I'm not gonna like set my heart on it, and I'm not gonna rely on it either. The other games are still there, and I'm not gonna ignore them just because Street Fighter 5's come out. Although it's gonna rock. Spiral asks, are there any inside jokes from the Irish community that someone new wouldn't understand or get straight away? Oh man, there are so many of these. There are loads. And try as I might, I'm gonna forget the vast majority of them. There's so many things. A lot of them revolve around our habits as players. We play each other a lot. So for example, there's people, insulting me, there's flash kicksies, which is when you're playing footsies, you don't bother playing footsies, you just do a flash kick. Because I do that. I think every guile does it to a certain degree. The idea is that you're trying to teach the other player that, yeah, I am a little bit mad, and I should just be like a defensive little turtle, but occasionally I'm going to do something insane, like throw a flash kick in the middle of footsies. Whatever. That's the theory. The more I know someone, the more you suffer for doing this type of thing, the less you try to do it. But that's one, flash kicksies. There's the AJ Tatsu, which is a full screen hard kick Tatsu. AJ insists he has a reason for doing that too. There's the Tiger Norm special. Oh, the Tiger Norm special.
Oh, reset the classic. Here we go. Oh, focus. Oh, he did the Tiger Norm special. He did the Tiger Norm special. Oh my god. Focus attack into Ultra. Oh my god.
The Tiger Norm special is with Honda. You do focus attack, and then whether it lands or not, immediately do Ultra after, and not Dash Ultra, just Ultra. Tiger Norm Special is probably the one that's reached furthest from our community, because Mike Ross is aware of the Tiger Norm Special and has commented he'd like to train with Tiger Norm sometimes. I am not making this up. What other things? There's so many. Sandwich matches. For some reason, the winner in a sandwich match buys a sandwich for the loser. There's so many. Not a real mix-up. That's a Marvel thing. I think it's Dante's Incoming. Oh, it's not a real mix-up. Not a real mix-up. A lot of these things are stuff that people have said that have gone wrong. Let me think. What else? Elena's fine. That's Onion's favourite one. As he's doing some ridiculously broken crap. Yeah, she's fine. And you reach back and there's more and more and more. Like there's... I'm trying to think what will be the first one. Top tier Terry is probably the first one. Our guy Terry, he played Sagat and Vanilla, so he got a lot of insults over that. Terry's a legend though. God, there's loads more. I'll probably cut more in as I remember them. But anyway, yeah, there's loads of stuff that new people wouldn't get. Do you know what? That's natural, and actually, that's part of the fun of being in a community. The longer you're with people, you'll start understanding the jokes, and they're the things that bind the community together. So it's a bit of a balancing act. You don't want to appear too cliquey to the outside world, to new people who want to get in, but at the same time, it's what creates brotherhood. And as a YouTuber, this is very important. Google themselves tell you that you want to create a community with their own special words and their own languages and their own jokes. So you gotta try to do that. Okay, this is an interesting one from Rob2D. When editing a video, you always leave in the button check. Why not just start at the match? Here's a little secret for you, Rob. I don't do any editing on those videos. I don't do any at all. Not a job. You know why? I have nearly 3,000 videos on my channel. Say editing and re-encoding them cost 10 minutes each. That's a lot of my life. Not happening. How I make my videos is I press local recording at the start and local recording at the end. Sometimes they're doing a button check. The button check is staying in. That's all there is to it. Nothing more. Sometimes, if they're taking an exceptionally huge amount of time, I'll actually stop the video and restart again. Oftentimes, I'm not able to stay at the desk, so I can't do it. So, I'm sorry if it's cost you a minute or two here or there, but it'll cost me a lot more to fix. David Corrigan asks, could you talk about your experiences when you first started competitive Smash? I assume he means first started interacting with the competitive Smash scene. This one might be really, really interesting, or it might not be, depending on how much you know about the origins of your own scene. But most of the people who are in the Smash scene today are not the first competitive Smash players I met, or even streamed or recorded for. There's been Melee scene for God knows how long, and there are several people who then changed over to Street Fighter 4 when that came out, when that was a new property, who were part of that scene. So I knew quite a few of the old guys. Gory Snake and what's he calling himself these days? Dead-Eye Dave are the ones that immediately spring to mind. Obviously Mike Kenyon is a Street Fighter 4 player as well. I know him, and obviously he's rather prominent in your scene. My experiences. My first experience streaming Smash. Nothing to do with the players, but it was horrible. And I'll tell you why. TV standards, video standards are all over the place. And you have no idea how hard I work to make sure that my setups are lagless. But that was not the case the first time I recorded Smash. I had about 5 boxes hooked up in a row, converting TV signal to TV signal to TV signal in order to get sodding Smash recorded. I can't even remember what game it was. I didn't care, but I just had it working. Just let it run. I don't care if it's lagging by 45 frames. It's working. Now, it's not the same now. I have a lagless setup. Everyone who's used to is going, yep, that works perfect. That's grand. Happy days. Let's use that. But oh my god, the effort I had to go to it. And you see, the problem is that these days, every single time I go to an event, almost without fail, I'm presented with a HDMI connection on the back of a device and a HDMI out on the back of the box, which means all my equipment can be standardized to HDMI. But back then, you got component, you got composite, you got these analog data standards that, it means there's a conversion from analog to digital, and that creates a little bit of lag, and all these things, and you need different splitters for the different types, different converters. You throw VGA into the mix. Oh my god! And all of these things was another little box that had to be carried around. And if one of them broke, then every single one of them had to get checked one by one by one. It was nightmarish. So my very first experience with Smash was absolutely horrible. But in the end, I got it to work somehow. And people, if I recall, did a teams tournament with items on. That's what they did after me breaking my heart. And I can remember having a pint. I was so browned off. They're like, I'm getting a drink. This is too much. This is too much. I'm getting a drink. But I quite like the Smash lads in general. Being honest with you, I've had multiple runs in with Smash over the years. Some of them haven't been very positive. But I don't want to say that that's the standard, because that's not true. The vast majority of people I meet involved with Smash are good people who just want to grow their scene. And that's the same as everybody else. You do run into the arseholes, but that's life. That's not Smash. That's life. So, yeah. I can remember there being a few tournaments up in the north where the Smash scene was real, like, oh, we want to talk to you filthy fighting game players. Well, guess what, Sunshine? You are a filthy fighting game player, you know? Other times they've been great. Sometimes people they're just delighted to have a setup like mine to record with. That's cool. You know, I want to be there to help, so that's alright. Anything else? Quite like the hype that often gets brought at Smash. Although that is going to die down over time, because that's what happens. The more scene matures, the less amazing everything becomes every time someone pushes themselves a little bit. Yeah, I've seen it 150 times. There's nothing new. So it has happened with Street Fighter. Like, this isn't me talking in a vacuum. So all the ooh stuff that you see a lot from Smash, it is going to start dying down over time. I'm sorry if you don't realize that. It's going to happen. But for now, I enjoy you enjoying yourselves. Sega!